Hi. Let me tell you a story about being chemically imbalanced on a genetic level because it's kind of fucked up. So, as I may have stated before, depending on where I post this. Anyway, I happen to have ADHD and autism because the world thinks it's funny. To make my social awkwardness just, part of my genetic code. It's great. What was I trying to say? Yeah. Being chemically imbalanced from birth and living with it for 25 years is an interesting journey. Especially when it comes to simple things like sleeping. Because today I woke up around 1-ish. 8, kind of. I don't even remember what it was, to be honest. It's been weird lately with food. And I was feeling withdrawals from, I don't know if it was like weed or Effexor, one of them, maybe both, I don't know. And I found a pill for Effexor on the table, and I don't remember putting it there. And if you don't know, the drug Effexor, I forget exactly what it does to you and like how it helps with anxiety or whatever, because that's not super important. The problem with Effexor is when you don't take it properly, the withdrawals are probably the worst you will ever experience physiologically. And as someone who has a hard time being consistent, with the help of my genetic chemical imbalance, it's been a living hell because not only do I constantly struggle with sleep, constantly struggle with time management, constantly struggle with energy levels, constantly struggle with motivation, on top of just trying to exist. And because of the life that I've lived and the choices that I've made, I developed depression. As a result, I developed a lot of social anxiety. As a result, I've developed a lot of self-hatred as an adult, and I've developed some kind of loneliness complex and guilt complexes up the wazoo as an adult. And the way a genetic chemical imbalance works with this is that it just doesn't. And you have to work with it in order to survive. And I'm not talking about thriving. I'm talking about just getting through the day and not dying. I get a lot of guilt just talking about this stuff, especially around other people, because I tend to go on for like hours, which is another problem well, I say problem, but it's more of just like a phenomenon of this chemical imbalance life I live, and just try. It's like a constant just attempt to regulate and be comfortable all the time, and trying to be a person on top of that feels basically impossible some days, because there are so many things to keep track of. And like, while all of this is true on like a basic human level, it like, to understand just how the simplest things can change the world, it's like my personal chemical imbalance changes my flight pattern, if that makes sense, all the time. So it's like, if I'm flying and I want to go from, let's say, America to Africa, it's not super difficult as long as I go in a straight line, right? However, the chemical imbalance that I'm learning how to cooperate with is always there, has always been there since birth, and it just changes the direction ever so slightly, right? If we're going with this very strange story allegory thing that I just come up with, it changes. Like, sometimes it's a couple degrees, other times it's like 50 degrees, and it just, sometimes it's points me down to earth, sometimes into space. Can't really function there, so I had to realign myself depending on what is going on physiologically with myself and my brain. And I mean, just thinking about it in that way, just, you can really see how easily you can fall off the wagon, so to speak, of being healthy without even trying. Like, for example, I guess I kind of discussed it earlier, but I haven't been sleeping well. I rarely sleep well. As a kid, it was easier because you had the energy to maintain, and you had your parents to help keep you accountable. Assuming you lived in a healthy house. And as an adult, you work to keep that homeostasis, and it gets harder in some ways and easier in others, just because of how age works and how becoming an adult and like understanding things works. Because when you're older, you have knowledge and you have autonomy and you have all these things you didn't have when you were a kid. However, you lose a lot of things that you had as a kid. So it's like this very strange transition from, at least for me, I know that I'm safe, I know that I'm loved and all of that, to now I have to take care of myself, and I have to keep moving forward, and I have to like do all these things. And I've already made a mess of this entire story. I'm sorry. Been spending a lot of time alone lately as well, which is not great for my health, but I don't have a lot of energy. I just don't. The human mind is kind of great in the sense that it can solve a lot of problems on its own, because we're animals, right? We've been solving problems since the dawn of our creation, so it's hard to accept the fact that we can't fix all of our problems because of the patterns that we've made in the past and everything. I just don't like feeling stuck. I've been feeling stuck a lot lately. And while I don't blame my genetic composition, the result of having the genetic composition that I have does create some unique challenges for me as an adult. I'm trying to work with it. It's so chaotic. It's hard to know what to do sometimes, because especially when you spend a lot of time alone and, have my personal set of stuff going on. It's hard to remember, I guess. At the end of the day, I am glad I'm here. I just wish I wasn't so tired. You just spend all day trying to exist and go through eons of guilt. Because as an adult, you're supposed to be able to function properly. And that looks different for everybody. But for me personally, it doesn't look like what I've been doing. And trying to balance between a healthy mindset and a productive life, and the pressures that you put on yourself to do and accomplish that. I've spent a lot of days just laying around, not able to move. And today doesn't seem to be an exception. I had thoughts that I was going to express here, but as per usual, my brain just kind of spiraled into the subconscious. Which, by the way, just trust your subconscious. It knows what it's doing. It's a machine that works in your favor. Impulsive thoughts and dreams are just the subconscious processing. It's not a reflection on who you are as a person. Trying to make sense of things that aren't complete isn't worth your time. Let your subconscious do its work. And treat yourself with respect. It's honestly the only way I've been able to be on this planet for 25 years. Trust the body you were given. It knows how to keep you comfortable. Listen to what it has to say. I guess that's all I really can say here without feeling too guilty about wasting your guys' time for about 20 minutes almost. See you later.